Hi, welcome to my channel, The Esther Effect. My name is Georgia, and I was running this morning, and I was actually listening to A.W. Tozer, The Pursuit of God. And I was running, and I was listening to the audiobook. It's one of the books on our book list that we listen to for school at Lifestyle Christianity. And I was at chapter 2 listening to it, and I was listening to it over and over again because it talks about Abraham. And I just really, the whole story just like shook me to the core, because it kind of went back to my roots and where I grew up and how it affected me big time. And anyways, it just kind of took me back. So it's from chapter 2 of A.W. Tozer, The Pursuit of God. It just talks about how Abraham, when he actually had Isaac, he put Isaac on a pedestal and kind of enthroned him in his heart over and above God. In Genesis 22:2, it says, "Thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Mor, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of." Genesis 22:2. And in this book, he just says, the sacred writer spares us a close-up of the agony that night on the slopes near Beersheba, where the aged man had it out with his God. But respectfully, imagination may view in awe the bent form wrestling convulsively alone under the stars. And I feel I've gone through this same type of situation where the Lord has dethroned maybe relationships. He's dethroned. I actually was addicted to Adderall through college, and it was prescribed to me, but I was addicted for different reasons, feeling like I couldn't study, feeling like I wasn't smart enough to memorize all the things. Also later on, it became like an almost borderline eating disorder, if not that, and I was addicted to it, and I didn't think I could actually lose weight and be fit without it. And then recently he actually took it, CLA, which is just builds lean muscle. It kind of was the same thing, and he dethroned it in me, and so I just had to remember, I can trust him with these little situations. And in Abraham's situation, Isaac had been put on the throne of his heart, and he had started to possess Abraham as his identity of who he was. And it just became so latched on, and Isaac was enthroned in his heart. Matthew 16:25 says, "Whosoever will lose for my sake shall find." And I just think it was so crazy because after I was able to actually release those things, it actually put God back as the only thing enthroned in my heart. And I feel like so many people, this can happen. I actually had this happen to me in business, where my business became an idol and it became higher than God himself in my life. This can happen in any situation. It can be your spouse, it can be your child, it can be your how much money you make, it can be your job, it can be your business, it could be your school, your ability to do things. It could be anything. When you put that in your heart, you start to possess that thing. That thing possesses you. Instead, it should be God is possessing you only. And that's why it says, Abraham possessed nothing, yet was not this poor man rich? Everything he had owned before was his still to enjoy. Sheep, camels, herds, goods of every sort. He also had his wife and his friends, and best of all, he had his son Isaac safely by his side. He had everything, but he possessed nothing. There is the spiritual secret. There is the sweet theology of the heart, which can be learned only in the school of renunciation. The books of systematic theology overlook this, but the wise will understand. And I just thought that was so crazy because the religion that I actually came from, they actually make a vow of poverty. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, wow, God doesn't even ask us to be poor at all. He asks us to be poor in spirit, and that's what the vow talks about in this religion. And so to be poor in spirit, but yes, take a vow of poverty and be poor in spirit. But then you're like, then you're like Abraham. Abraham had everything in this natural world, but nothing actually had him. And so I just thought that was so amazing. And that vow of poverty is straight up demonic. And I know that's a harsh word, but it is, because the devil wants you to be poor so that you can't actually get the gospel in the right manner to to everybody all over the world. And so the Lord actually says that we're supposed to have an abundant life. John 10:10, to live an abundant life. And so I just think it was so incredible, and it just blew my mind. It was legit mind-blowing for me, and I hope this encourages you, and I love you, and I'm always praying for you, and have a great afternoon.